Hey, what is up guys, I'm KBHD here, and this is going to be a quick video on something just because it's been covered in depth by a lot of people already. If you're subscribed to anyone else tech on YouTube, you've probably already seen this, or if you're not subscribed to any other tech channels on YouTube, maybe this is the first time you're seeing this, but this is the iPhone 6 dummy body. So a lot of people have been getting their hands on this courtesy of Sony Dixon, who has had some notoriously great Apple leaks in the past, and I'll leave his Twitter link down below if you want to check out the rest of the stuff he shared. But this is supposed to be our first look at the body, shape, and size of the iPhone 6. But what it really is the dummy phone that a lot of the case manufacturers will use to create and start producing their iPhone 6 cases before the phone has actually been announced. So this is basically made up of all your rumors, all of your speculation, all of the things we know about the parts of the next iPhone to give a general idea of the shape and size that this next phone will be. So I'm gonna make this quick since it's been covered already, like I said, but there are three main characteristics that you're gonna wanna know about this before the next iPhone comes out because they're pretty much set in stone at this point, and that is the rounded edges, the much bigger display and slightly bigger bezels also, and the extreme thinness of this new phone. So for the rounded edges, this is just something about the design I've noticed since I've had it. It's a departure from all the iPhones we've had since the iPhone 4. The one right before it, the iPhone 3GS, was when it was last curved. And I'm not the first to say it, but this new dummy really reminds me of the HTC One M8 at a glance. And I've talked a lot about how the M8 feels in the hand thanks to its metal body and the roundness in the full review. So it's definitely not going to be quite as slippery as the M8, mostly because it's not quite as big. But that brings us to our next point, which is the size of this iPhone. Like I said, this is a big iPhone, the biggest phone Apple will ever make. This dummy sports a 4.7-inch display, and there are a whole ton more rumors that support this and a 1704 by 960 resolution. Here it is next to the iPhone 5S, which has a 4-inch display, and you can see not only is it taller, but it's a bit wider too. It's definitely a much bigger phone than Apple has ever made. I'm actually finding the bezels seem to be kind of big compared to a lot of other phones out now. It makes it look a little ugly, but even the other iPhones have smaller bezels than this. The Moto X is a pretty popular Android phone. This also has a 4.7-inch display, but you can see it's much smaller than the iPhone 6 dummy and not nearly as tall. Of course, it doesn't need to make room on the front for a home button, but I feel like the iPhone has some pretty big bezels for the display you're getting. But of course, finally, where this phone is definitely not big is the thickness department. We've seen this before. The iPhone 6 is going to be a very thin phone. We're talking like 6mm thin here in a metal unibody case, which is very impressive. And Apple's never really had problems with battery life on the iPhone. I mean, it's not the greatest, but seeing a new iPhone that's even thinner than the current iPhone kind of gets me questioning how big of a battery they can fit in here. But, you know, I guess if the iPhone's a lot taller, maybe they'll have enough space to fit the same size battery. Who knows? I always think about battery life when I see a phone as thin as this. But as you can see here, if we check out one of these pre-production iPhone 6 cases here, which has the interior measurement of just 6mm, we can put the iPhone 6 dummy in it, and of course, it fits just perfectly. All the cutouts and all the speakers and the lightning port and the headphone jack and the volume and mute switch, they're all still there, and it's the same thinness now as the iPod Touch, which is incredibly impressive, and I don't really see any other phones out there that are quite as well built and only 6mm thick, so it's really impressive and has me pretty curious. But that's about it as far as the aesthetic stuff. There are also, of course, some other minor things, which I guess are major when it comes to the iPhone, where the power button relocation, it is now on the side of the phone, which makes sense because it's a bigger phone and it would be harder to reach the top, so it makes sense to put that power button in an easy to reach spot. But other than that, nothing else really all that exciting about the new iPhone 6 dummy. Apple could, of course, surprise us and have some other crazy new features or hardware stuff, but this is about as good a look as we're going to get at the iPhone 6 right now. What I find most interesting is actually the way people react to it. So I'm gonna jump this right back at you guys. Would you buy a 4.7-inch display iPhone? Would you buy a big iPhone like this? I know the back markings might not be finalized, and this might not be the exact final look of the design, but it tends to look a lot better when it's an actual working phone and the thing is on. I'm also going to leave a link to Your Average Consumer's video where he actually went out and showed people the iPhone 6 dummy and asked, hey, would you buy this if this was the next iPhone? And he got some pretty interesting answers. So I'll leave that link right below the like button. Check out that video. And other than that, that's about it. So thanks for watching this quick video. Talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.